once this thing hit live. This thing hit. Oh, it did in fact hit live. Hey guys, NXT No Mercy just went off the air. They was in Denver, Colorado. I butchered that all completely, but they were in Denver. We're gonna talk about NXT. They had a few good matches, and we had the arrival of Giulia. We're gonna talk about it all after we do these lovely introductions. Talk about unpopular review.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unpopular Review.
Thank you all for clicking on our faces.
New flag with all that.
Okay, so I wrote down some notes.
Shots do that. I don't want to sit too hard. That's twice. That'll probably go over about as well as Colonel Division.
Because there was no Jay White site.
Okay, just straight up gangbanging. This story has been fit. You gotta pay attention.
So Unpopular Review does not. What is the CEO of, Chris? Jesus, golly. Let's start the show.
Colorado. That's how you say it. It's Colorado. I messed that all up. That introduction was just terrible. But hey, guys, it's Unpopular Review, the NXT Review edition. I mean, with NXT crew, so we're going to review NXT No Mercy. But I'm talking so much. I'm the Great Grand Slam Pooba, and I'm joined with the amazing Sabrina Estella. Sabrina Estella, I'm butchering all tonight, but Sabrina Estella, how are you tonight?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. No Mercy was an entertaining PLE, if that's what we have to call it now. I am still call it a pay-per-view in my head because I do pay to view it on Peacock. So, but show was good. We did our polls in our group, and for the first time in quite some time, with the clean sweep win of 6-0, our new UPR champion, my co-host, the Great Grand Slam Pooba.
Oh, Sabrina Estella, and it feels great that you was the one to announce that news. Yes, guys, I am right now the UPR Undisputed Universal Heavyweight Champion of the world. I did this for my Jack Packers. I did it for the NXT crew. Yes, this title is on Tuesday night. So I'm sorry, Wednesday night. I'm sorry. You know, Raw should be on Mondays, but they want to try to take our time slot on Tuesdays or be on Tuesdays. So I am happy to have the strap. I think I am just, honestly, I'm going to be quite frank with you guys. I think I'm the greatest UPR champion in history. The executive consultant, you name him, Mike Knox. Ha! I don't even think DJ or ZJ, I don't know what he want to call himself this week, has ever held the gold. I am the main eventer. I am the best. This is for us. So if you are here on Tuesday nights, I want you to know this championship is for us. George, shout out to him. He says Bad Guy is the greatest of all time. I'm going to highlight that because I want to make sure I screenshot that. Thank you, George. I appreciate it. This championship is for you. It's for Sabrina Estella. It's for Good George in the chat and everybody else who watched NXT. But I do have to say, No Mercy was a fun show. It was, in fact, I mean, and it started off really hot with this tag team match, right? You have Axiom and Frazier, butchering, going against Chase U, Ridge Holland, and Andre Chase. We're going to get into the chats in a minute here, but we're going to just jump right into this match here. And I thought this was a great way to start off. As soon as I saw it, I said, oh, God, they're really starting on fire. Axiom and Frazier really have great chemistry with Chase U. It doesn't matter if it's Andre Chase and Duke Hudson. The last pay-per-view, was it Heatwave? It was Heatwave, correct? Thank you. And I thought they had a fantastic match against Duke and Andre Chase. And it was the same with Ridge. I mean, Ridge was a little different. Ridge showcased his power. You have Axiom and Frazier out there, and they're showing their quickness. They're flying all over the place. They're doing all kinds. I see George said he had Chase U retaining. I didn't. I
did.
You did? Okay.
Only because one of my pet peeves with tag team wrestling is when they keep playing hot potato with the tag titles. Went from Axiom and Nathan to Chase U, then back and forth. Like, like with the New Day and the Usos, it kind of keeps getting annoying when it goes back and forth. It's like it's predictable. Like, oh, they're gonna win it from them or event this time, or they're gonna win it back the next time. Like, it gets a little annoying. The hot potato. I only picked it because they had won them not that long ago, so I figured, okay, first title defense since winning it back, maybe they'll keep it. That's the only reason why I thought they would win, story-wise.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there was a part of the match where I kind of thought that they would retain, but something that happened at the end of the match, I don't know where I thought that it was going to happen with the turn, if it was going to be during the match, but something told me Ridge was going to turn on Chase U. I mean,
I'd been saying it from the get-go since he had joined to not trust Mr. Ridge Holland. I told y'all not to trust him, and he proved it. The man that just shows off power, but he couldn't break the announce table. To where the next match happens, they fall on it. Nothing even happens. They don't do a move or anything, and it collapses. Ridge, really? You're supposed to be stronger than that? You're supposed to have broken the table? What up with that?
No, my co-host is on. Because even before we start, she made it clear. Like, I want you guys to know, I made it clear. You cannot trust this man. And you had to remind me too, because I kind of thought it was a fever dream. I remember the match. I forgot who he lost to, but he did say some over the lines of like, well,
he said he was retiring, that he's never going to wrestle again, that he keeps injuring people, he keeps hurting them by accident, and that he's never going to step back in the ring. But 72 hours later, boom, he's back to wrestling.
This is true. Do you remember who beat him?
Said that. I was like, I do not trust this man worth a damn.
She don't. And the one thing I know about my co-host, like, she just don't trust people. Like, you don't just go give up your trust. So once he did that, you immediately was like, oh no, you're a liar. I can't believe in you. I don't believe in you. I'm gonna talk about that man later. Why don't we get real quick before we dig a little bit more into this match here? George, he says, hey everyone. We're gonna click the comments. George says, hey everyone. We're gonna say, hey George. He also says NXT No Mercy was good. Yeah, it was. It was actually, I felt like the chat, we have a UPR chat here. And I felt like it got lively because of this pay-per-view. Different opinions, from myself, Sawyer, Sabrina Stella, and then we had the executive consultant. I mean, he gave in his pieces. George also says, I called it that Giulia was going to show up to confront Roxanne. You did. He was saying that for a while. And we're going to talk about that. So I thought I highlight that. He also says only one title change tonight.
In the beginning, and then everything else stayed the same. We've had pay-per-views where no titles have switched.
Right. And I don't think, and there's something that you mentioned earlier about hot potato wing titles, right? And granted, I feel like it's a little different just saying it, because I know you was talking about, well, they just won the title. So you don't want to see, hey, I just won the title, then the title go back, and then, like that. So I totally understand what you meant. Good Chrissy says Roxanne is still my NXT Women's Champion. Yes, she did in fact retain. He also says Ridge turned on Chase U. You called it, you guys. Yeah, I gotta give it to her. She really called it. I felt Ridge was gonna, but honestly, I just want the worst for Chase U. I mean, you guys know how I feel about Chase U after they did to someone that.
And you got it in Ridge Holland.
I love
putting Andre Chase through a table. Notice how I put air quotes, because he didn't put him through the table. He just literally smashed him on it, and we're supposed to act like he actually got really hurt from it. If it collapsed, then yes.
Good Chrissy says I was 2-4 in my prediction.
We had a couple people that were 2-4 in their predictions as well for the UPR host. The UPR host that actually did both.
So I really cleaned it, because I thought I was.
You cleaned it. Shay and I tied second with 5-1.
All right. See, there we go. That's
so if I had not voted for Chase U to retain, we would have tied.
We were tied. What about the time? Because I know I was worried.
It ended like around 9:40 something. Yeah. 9:40, 9:50 something.
Okay. Georgie says NXT Halloween Havoc October 27th in Pennsylvania is where Giulia is going to dethrone Roxanne. That's interesting. You know what? I actually kind of thought that she was. I wondered when the next PLE was going to be.
And they did say it.
I kind of thought it would be at, and it might be crazy that I'm saying this out loud, but they're going to be on CW
on October.
Was it October 3rd?
October 1st.
Oh, first. Okay, thank you.
In a month. In 1 month, they're going to be going from doing it here all the time in Orlando, Florida, to traveling all over.
And my thought process was going to be like, oh, maybe in that first show, she just wins the championship because I just didn't have no idea when's the next PLE. But that seemed like a proper place because, and I put in the chat, and I was talking about Tony D'Angelo. I put in our chat, like, hey, do you guys see in 2025 Tony D'Angelo being on the main roster? Because he's been on NXT, 3 years? And I feel like there's nothing left for him to do. And I think he would be a great addition on the main roster. I mean, I feel like at this point he's become not a stepping stone. I don't want to say that. It's not a stepping stone. It's another word, and I can't find the wording for it. But I mean, he's become like almost like the guy that you go through just to see if you're gonna make it here.
He's someone that you could go to as far as like putting in a rivalry or having matches, and that he will make himself and his opponent look good, and the family will help with that as well.
And we're gonna talk about that match, and I think we'll dig a little bit more into it. But I say all I just simply say is that Roxanne has pretty much done everything on the NXT brand.
Yes, and as soon as Halloween Havoc comes, Giulia is going to beat her for that belt when they have that rivalry for about a month and some change. Giulia's going to take the belt. Roxanne's going to get called up to the main roster.
How are you doing, my two favorite? Chris is such a lovely individual. We're great, and we're happy that you are here with us to talk about some NXT, so we are quite fine. Thank you for asking. We got George. I almost said good George, but he is good George. He's fantastic. Sweaterverse. He said Roxanne kept the NXT title warm for Giulia. The pay-per-view ended at 9:45. And I'm sorry. What's this last one? I can't wait to see Giulia versus Roxanne storyline wise.
She's going to probably be like, oh, you've been working in Japan for so long, and now you're just going to magically come into my program, into my show, and try to take my belts away from me. Well, it's not going to happen, but it's going to happen.
It is going to happen. I mean, I'm sorry. I wanted to read that. I highlighted that, but I wanted to read it. But he good Chris, he says, when Roxanne loses the NXT Women's Championship, she is going to the main roster. I don't think right away. I think there will be a rematch. I think that she does lose at Halloween Havoc. And I don't know if they usually have one PLE on November, but December is usually when they have Lockdown, right? I forget the name of the PLE they have. There's that one last PLE that they have in NXT. I'm sorry, I'm blinking on stuff. But I think that would be where that's a swan song. And in the beginning of 2025, I could see her being on the main roster. Talking about Roxanne Perez. But just getting back to this tag match, I thought it was a great way to open. Axiom and Frazier were the right winners here, and there's a lot of people who's coming for the NXT Tag Team Championship. Let me ask you, Wrestling Dog, I know you watch a lot of wrestling, but do you feel, because something about tonight made me go like, man, NXT have a really fun tag team division. Do you feel like they have the best tag team division? And maybe all wrestling is pretty rough to say because there's so much wrestling in the world, but is NXT's tag team division one of your favorite divisions?
Well, if we're talking about ones that like you see primarily being taped for television, then yes, I would say they're definitely like in the top 5 as far as like having a good tag team division. Would I say it's my number 1? I'd say it's my second favorite.
What's your first? I'm interested. What's your first?
I mean, it'd be a bit of a hot take for some people based on the history with some of the stuff happening with that company, but I actually think that actually kind of have 2 for number 1. I like watching TNA tag stuff, and I also do like watching current, newer, especially from the last couple of years, NWA tag division.
Do you still watch NWA?
Oh yeah, they have it on the CW on Tuesdays.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, they put up every Tuesday.
What time?
Which now at 8, and now they're gonna have competition.
Oh Lord. Yeah, I feel like they're gonna get because right, NXT's coming on Tuesday, so like.
Well, I mean, they had that deal first, and then the NWA swooped in.
Swooped in. I gotta check out some NWA. I've actually been kind of interested in catching NWA, but it's kind of hard.
They do have some full matches on YouTube that you can watch.
Okay, I gotta check it out. Is it on the CW app?
They also do have it on the CW app, yes, so you can watch for free.
Oh, there you go. Look, even George, he said, wait, NW. And I heard about them being on CW, but I didn't know if the deal went completely because I remember there was like this conversation about it is, but it isn't. And
No, it is.
like
I went to a show in Fort Lauderdale where they were doing a taping for an episode of it, which they have a bunch of matches and they split up into a few episodes, editing and all that. So, but they did announce it there before they'd start taping that it was going to be put on the CW. So to download the app, to be on the lookout for it, so that we can watch for free, et cetera, things of that nature.
Is that because you met EC3, right?
No, not at that show. That was a couple months prior. No, but that was the show that I was at where he wrestled Matt Cardona.
Wow, check that out. I wanted to highlight this real quick. Good Chris, he says the next NXT pay-per-view, but PLE is December and NXT deadline.
That's after Halloween Havoc, which they
Right.
announced on the air, which is going to be on October 27th.
Right. George, he said, I heard that Cora Jade was at NXT No Mercy tonight, but wasn't used.
She was probably in the back, maybe.
Yeah. Is she cleared? I don't know if she's
As
cleared.
far as I don't know if she's medically cleared to go back into the ring. Maybe she was there to support her best girlie in Roxanne Perez.
There you go.
Since she and her have this little ongoing thing as far as like when they post pictures online and stuff, that they're CM Punk's daughters, so to speak.
Right. No, absolutely. That's those are his daughters. There we go. We got Todd. I feel like it's been a while because I know this name. I remember seeing that. He said Cora. And George said, I don't think Cora isn't cleared yet. Let's get into this next match here. We had Wesley going against Zachary Wentz. Now, Zachary Wentz, he is the X Division champion.
As of Friday, during that 6-way match, he won the X Division belt on Friday, which I will say this, the match, Miss Shea Sawyer had said that it was a contender for match of the night, and we had both agreed thinking that it was going to be that because of the storyline that was happening with the history that they have with each other, et cetera, et cetera. I think that he gave his best, but he didn't give all because he had just been in an intense 6-man match 48 hours ago. And I didn't see it, but I have a feeling he went through a lot. So he probably wasn't like at his best getting a couple of days of rest, but I think he did his best for what the assignment was. He came out with the belts. She had my favorite men's gear of the night. I saw the zebra print on. I saw the pictures of MSK and stuff. Reminded me of a tag team that I watch in the indie scene. They're called Better Together, and they do the ripaway pants thing. And when they do that, they wear gear with pictures of themselves all over it, which is very funny.
You know, I do want to give you the floor here first here, man. You know, we're talking about Wesley and Zachary Wentz. I did like, there was one spot I did want to mention. So I'm pretty sure you guys know that we don't go move for move and everything like that here, right?
We don't. That's not our style.
That's not our style, right? But I did like, and you know how I feel about Vic Joseph. Vic Joseph just makes me mad. But he said a funny, and I did chuckle, and I couldn't believe it. I said, damn it, Vic got me. But Vic said something over the lines of when Zachary got hit, he said, he got so hit, he might wake up thinking he's Carter.
I heard him say that, and I was just like, why did you have to refer to his old NXT name?
But, you know, this ain't the first time that he done this.
Yes, then why did he have to do it again?
See? So, you know what? See, I can see a little bit of the Grand Slam Pooh-Bah's rubbing off because I see how annoyed you are about Vic Joseph, and I feel that same way about Vic Joseph because why do you have two first names, Vic and Joseph? But Sabrina Stella gets it. Good job. But Sabrina Stella, what did you think about it?
I didn't want that to be repeated again for him to say that. And they played the vignette of everything leading up to all of this. And then he talks down on one Mr. Zachary Wentz for being a TNA wrestler. And I'm thinking to myself, you were signed to TNA in 2017, and then you debuted on April 20th in a 6-way match for the X Division belt. And look who has that belt now, won in the same way on Friday.
He did win it.
But this match was good.
Yeah.
Am I going to say it was the best friends to bitter enemies match that we've seen in 2024? No. but they had a few good spots. There were a couple of spots that were kind of a little bit like messed up, but that moment that Zach had when he kicked Wesley in the face and then like flipped on him and just got up, it was insane. And then when he gets knocked over onto the announce table and nothing even happens, he doesn't get put through it in a powerbomb, he doesn't get thrown down on it or anything, and it collapses. And they had to improvise because obviously that was supposed to be collapsed for a bit before they fixed it for that match. And then Wesley just gets up on the top turnbuckle and then just flips and falls on him. And to have Zach Wentz be the one to kick out of the cardiac kick, I enjoyed that bit.
Oh, you enjoy that?
Yes. And when they have the bit when Wesley is walking towards the timekeeper's side,
yes,
he grabs the X Division belt and he's holding it like he's going to go and hit him with it. And I'm thinking, boy, don't you do that. That is so predictable. But nope, he goes for a chair. He's about to hit him with it. Rest telling him, don't do it. You're going to get DQ'd. And who comes in but Trey Miguel to help his boy, Zachary Wentz, to save the day.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, because we had the executive contradiction in our chat being like, I don't like Wesley anymore. Never trust Wesley to do anything right. And I'm thinking to myself,
he said that.
And I said it in our chat. You didn't think that Trey Miguel wouldn't have helped, considering the fact that he was the one that got kicked in the face first when Wesley turned on the Rascals?
Right. No, I think you nailed it on the head. Real quick, I do want to highlight some of these comments before we move forward. George said he had Wesley winning. You want to say hi to
We did not. I said it at first when we made predictions, but I was thinking about it. I was like, no, I think it'd make more sense if Zach were to win.
Right. Charmaine says she didn't watch the NXT pay-per-view. You should have. It was a fun show, dog.
It was a fun show, but maybe she was busy or maybe she was out and wasn't able to. I mean, there are wrestling shows happening tonight as we speak, or were happening during the PLE, so they couldn't. I'm literally wearing the shirt of somebody who was in a show. I don't think they wrestled, but they were in a show regardless, and I'm wearing it just because.
There we go. No, we love it. George, he says NXT Halloween Havoc. I can see 2 title changes: the NXT Championship and the NXT Women's Championship. Todd, he wanted to mention on the CW app only.
Yes, it's on the CW app. That's where they have all the episodes.
George wanted to say, I like Vic Joseph. Ha 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 ha. Just kidding. Good job, Joe. I'm sorry. George, I'm sorry. I'm mixing up all my names. There's a lot of names in my head, so forgive me. Logan, what's going on? Logan James K. He says, I want to see Giulia versus Io Sky. I'm pretty sure we'll get that at some point, but it won't be right away. I don't have a time period, but it'll be down the line. Maybe like in 2 years, you might see that. Maybe even more. But it's not going to be happening anytime soon. We got George who says, where does Wesley go from here? This feud is
funny you should say that, because after the tag match happened where Axiom and Nathan won and became the new NXT Tag Championships, Gallus, the Rascals, and Hang and Tank all called out for their shots to go to be the first contenders to win for the belt. And of course, Ava puts them in a triple threat match to determine who will be the number 1 contender. What I see happening is that Wesley attacks at some point during the match, close to the end, make sure that the ref doesn't see, and attacks either Trey or Zach, since Trey, I would say he's going to attack Trey first, since he's the one that essentially cost him this match, and then cost them a contendership shot for the belts to go after Axiom and Frazier, who I have winning that. I don't know, but I think it will be a pretty fun upset win if Hank and Tank were to pin Gallus and win. You know, I don't like them just because of their name. I think they're a fun tag team to watch as far as like out of character, out of the ring work. But in the ring, they're pretty decent. So I think it'd be a fun match. Do I think it's going to happen? Not completely, but hey, if it happens, it happens.
I do agree with George is saying. Give Giulia some time on NXT. I totally 100% agree with that. And I want to.
You got to give these time people to cook, people to grow.
It says Call J. I wanted to make sure I got this correct, but
Callie J.
Oh, Callie J. Okay, that is an I. I thought it was Callie. Okay, Callie J. My apologies. But Callie J says they gotta do a Rascals triple threat. I don't.
They have on TNA. They have. You can find a video compilation on the TNA channel where they put some of the Rascals' best work, and that was the first match that pops up. So if you want to watch a triple threat match of the Rascals, it's right there. Back when Wesley was known as Desmond Alex Xavier, so get that look.
And I don't think that's something you have to do in the story. The story is Wesley and Zachary. I mean, if you look at the opening promo for this match, it was Wes sitting there saying, I was on top of the world with my tag team partner, my brother, and then it was taken away and they had to give up the titles and he was...
But I mean, that wasn't Zach's fault now. He did stupid stuff in the past, but unfortunately, once that stuff gets dug up, and then once your ex-partner puts that up to ruin your life, your place of work, if it affects your job, they're going to do something about it, whether we like it or not. And we didn't like it. And Wesley was saying that we felt pity for him. I didn't feel pity for him. I was upset at the situation, and I was thinking, what is he going to do now? And then after that happened, which it popped up, it said it was either in March or in April. And then by the time October hit for Halloween Havoc, he became one of the greatest and longest reigning North American champions.
Matter of fact,
that we have.
I feel like you were the only person who picked him in the...
I did.
You was the one. You did it because I didn't see it, and he did. And I agree. He became the greatest NXT North American champion. I mean, he does such a great job with it. And I just wanted to say, because you're right, it was never, anyone's fault about this thing. It's just they knew how to utilize it in the story, and I thought they did a great job implement that by adding a little bit of real life here. And no, because I wanted to get to Callie J when he said a triple threat, and no, this is no like knock on Trey Miguel, but Trey Miguel is not a part of this story right here. He is
not at the moment, as far as like,
it's
unless he were to get called out by West, then
right. And not to say he's not a part of it, because I'm not wording it correctly, so forgive me here. Like, he's a part of it because obviously they're all connected. They're brothers.
But the feuding storyline, as far as that, is Zachary versus Wesley. It's not Wesley versus Zachary versus Trey Miguel. And if you were to do that, you would have to have Trey Miguel be neutral in the middle, trying to pick a side. But we most of us know that he would go pick Zach's side, since
because he did.
That's his ride or die in TNA right now.
He helped him out, and like you said, and I'm looking forward to a Rascals on NXT. Is that supposed to be for this week? Because I look forward to that.
Yes.
Threat. Oh, now I look forward to it. I see George in the chat here. I want to highlight it. He said, Hank and Tank, if they become number one contenders and win the NXT champion titles, that would be something. But I don't see them taking the titles off of.
No, they're not going to take the titles, but it'll be a fun match to watch.
I think it would do wonders for them to just see where they are as a team, how much growth that they have. Because, and we'll talk about Jada Parker and Roxanne, because I said before, like, a lot of times with these matches, you can tell what the outcome is going to be, but it's really, hey, how does this person take being in this big position, or this, all the lights are on them. But the Wesley Zachary match, I thought it was fine. I thought it was a fun match. It's not done, and we're going to get these guys going against each other again. You mentioned it when you was talking about this match. You said, well, one of the things you can see, and I can see it too, in this tag match, I don't even see it like after the match. I see West just interfering some kind of way during the match and making it worse, because he's going to make his former brother's life hell, and they're not going to win. So it's between Gallus and Hank and Tank, but I feel like Hank and Tank is going to take that, because I don't think they're going to give Gallus. I feel like Gallus had plenty of shots. I think they're going to do something different, and I'm for that.
Here it is. For Callie J, you just got to look for this.
There we go.
Video.
Look at that. What does that say?
The Rascals Essential Matches in TNA Wrestling. And it's the first one that pops up, all three of them.
Check that out. Please check. I'm not sure that's on YouTube, correct?
Yes.
Good job. George, I know I haven't done this in a while. George, let's make sure we got 30 points for the wrestling doll here, because she comes out here with the facts. I mean, round of applause. Give her flowers. What kind of flowers do you like, madam? Are you a fan?
I like cherry blossoms.
Give her cherry blossoms, please. Make sure that she gets that. Next match that we had Wendy Choi against Kelani Jordan. This is for the women's North
American champion.
Ooh. Well, here we go. Look at this. We got Callie J. He's saying will do. So yes, cherry blossoms for this matter.
And I'm going to say this, there's also a triple threat match of the Rascals versus Moose and the North, which includes our current NXT champion, Mr. Ethan Page.
Ooh, there we go.
I won't tell you the outcome of that one.
It's going to be interesting because, we'll get to that match when we get there. Because it was, I know when we did the predictions and you mentioned the North, and you remember before I was like, hey, do you think we get Josh Alexander?
It would have been interesting and would have made some sense if that had happened, but
That would have been cool. Real quick before we get to the next match here, and I'll give you the floor here, but Warman, since Warman's here Sunday night, acknowledge me. You are acknowledged, Warman. We're glad that you are in the chat. We're glad that all you guys in the chat. Real quick before we get into the match, I feel like it wasn't said here, but hey, you're watching Unpopular View, the NXT No Mercy review show. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button, because not only do we talk about NXT, we talk about NXT because that's what we're here to do, but we have a Monday Night Raw review show. They do it on Tuesday, so it's not Monday, it's Tuesday. But they talk about Monday Night Raw. We have, I'm sorry, I'm coming over a cold here, guys. An AEW show, they talk about Dynamite, and right after Dynamite go off the air, they talk about it. And we have a Friday night, but they do it on Saturdays, Friday Night Crew, and they talk about the Friday night show. So please, if you subscribe to us, like, hey, I like NXT, but I want to hear about SmackDown. We got it all here, man. We're doing it all. So please hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification, because it helps us, it helps you, and you get to see our beautiful faces. There we go. We got George. He said, I wanted to highlight this. Kelani Jordan retaining, plus Tatum Patrick laying a doll on Wendy Choi. I kind of want to see Wendy Choi versus. I believe we're getting that though.
we're going to get that. And the fact that she put her to sleep and put the doll on the pillow means that she's going to put her to sleep for real in the match after it's over.
I like that you picked that up because I didn't think about it. I saw the doll, but you said because she put it on the pillow, it's like you going to sleep, girl. Okay. What did you think about this match? I thought this was a good test for Kelani Jordan. Wendy Choi, she's experienced. I don't know how many years she's been, but she's obviously been.
She's been doing it, I believe they said about 4.
Who?
Wendy.
4? Oh wow. I think it's a little bit more. Maybe 4 for WWE, but I think more because she had a career outside of WWE. She was.
Well, that's what they mean by 4 years in WWE as far as like career wise.
Sure. But even then, that's more than Kelani, right? But she's
Yes.
experienced. She's been around.
She's one of those athletes turned wrestlers that got recruited.
Talking about Kelani.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I was keeping up here. But you're right. She's one of those Division 1 athletes that the Fatal
Influence.
Yes,
They did play their vignette as well, so you were able to get your JC Jane on No Mercy.
I was very upset that I didn't see it.
But at least they played a little something. So I think they were thinking, we know the great grandson Pooh of Unpopular View is watching our program, and he'll be very upset if we don't get him to JC Jane. So let's put on their vignette for him.
I blame Big Joseph. But yes, I'm glad that I got a little bit of JC. I don't know if you guys know it, but I like JC. I miss her. But this match was good. I thought that Kelani, she hung in there. Matter of fact, and I said this in the chat. I said, I thought Wendy Choi actually had her.
We all did.
Okay.
When she almost put her to sleep, we all thought she had it. I was gonna be like, wow, one of the votes that we had in our group chat that swept, like everybody picked Kelani. Like we were all gonna lose that. That's what I was thinking.
Right. Okay. I was gonna ask, did anybody pick Wendy Choi, but no
No.
one thought that. Okay. All right. But I thought that she had it with the clutch, and I was a little worried. But when I saw her fight out of it, and she came out of it, and she hit the 450, and then she hit the split-legged moonsault, the one of a kind. I thought that I'm gonna get to you in a minute, George. I see you in the chat, but I want to highlight real quick here. Mad Dog, what's going on, Mad Dog? He does the wrestling news for the AEW crew. Shout out to Mad Dog, Mad Dog Kelly. I'm sorry, there's a lot of I'm trying to make this But I thought this was fun. I thought this was a fun match. I thought that Kelani, and I see a lot of people when they're talking about Kelani that then it doesn't do it for her. So the only thing I can sit here and say, I think eventually she does have to get a character, but I feel like her in-ring stuff has been good, and I personally have been a fan of her in-ring stuff. Do you feel like she's How do you feel about Kelani Jordan, her run so far as the?
I mean, she is a great defending fighting champion. I do appreciate and respect that. And I appreciate and respect her work in the ring as well. I feel like she's one of those that like doesn't really have like a standard character, but she's more herself, like amplified a bit as far as like who she is in there. And I think that's a little refreshing, but I think maybe if she could like amplify a little bit more, she'd be even more of a standout.
I think that's a fair point. I think like when you start building a character, it does wonders for you, honestly. And I think eventually we can get there, but I have no problem, honestly, with Kelani. Like when I see her, I don't go like, "Oh, it's Kelani." Like I sit there
No,
and
I don't either. So
yeah, I don't have a problem. So for me, I understand character is important in wrestling. I totally get that. And there's characters where I see them like, oh my god, and I love them because of their character. But I also don't mind a good in-ring competitor, and that's what she is. And I do sit here and say, also, I do like to remind people that she's been doing this for under 5 years. Give her some time, and I think eventually she can get there and get a character. Let's highlight some comments real quick. George, I wanted to highlight this so badly because I saw him. I felt like attacked. He said, "Ugh, fatal influence. Who's the leader?"
here's the thing: you can have a faction without having a definite leader. So if JC and Fallon want to have take Jasmine under their wing because she sees that the Division One people aren't the ones that are totally into the business, like as they say, because they've been through the business themselves as far as the indie side of things, then who's to say you need to have a definite leader?
You guys know who I think is the leader. It's JC.
Y'all know you say it's JC.
Yes, it's JC Jane. She put this gathering together. You kidding me? What was Fallen Henley doing before? She was Falling and Henley. I don't know. I try to make that work, and I'm proud of it. It's JC Jane. She's leading this crew. They're lucky to be underneath her wing, or I don't know if she has wings, but they're lucky to be underneath her tutelage. And then here's George again. Is it JC Fallen? JC or Fallen? I'm sorry, I combined the two. And JC Jasmine is just there. It is JC George. George, I need you to pay attention. I know you come here on Tuesdays. I know you hear me, so I need you to listen to me. I gotta wipe this because now you made me mad. I drew it on myself. See what you made me do, George. I'm very disgusted at you, George. We know you like JC Jane because you talk about her all the time. Do I do that all the time, Wrestling Doll?
You talk about her when she comes on the air, and that's fine because everybody has their favorites. But remember, he was not talking about her as much as I used to when toxic attraction was a thing. Because remember, everybody watching them was drooling over Mandy and drooling over Gigi. All of y'all left JC in the back corner. Y'all weren't paying attention to her. I was.
I do want to throw out here because she said drooling. I wasn't one of those guys.
You're one of the very few guys who wasn't drooling about that because you don't watch wrestling to look at the women and go like,
yeah, look, women, you know, and then they start drooling and then they trip over their own spit. You nasty. But no, this is a fact. She was on the Jane train first, but I am going to drive the Jane train because I put the train together. Woo, woo. There's a 2-seater. It's for her and JC, and I'm driving. Sorry, George. You're going to have to take the bus. And I hope you take Greyhound because it's they are terrible.
I'm taking the Greyhound. It's not that bad.
I had a guy blow smoke in my face. It's awful.
No, there's been times where I've been on it. I've sat on there in the section by myself.
Well, see, that's brilliant, honestly. You got to be like that. You got to, like, if you take a bus, now, granted, no one really blew smoke in my face. I'm trying to add theatrics here. I took a bus one time from New York to North Carolina, but because it's so long, it's just uncomfortable. Like, when you take a bus and it's more than 2 hours, it's the worst, honestly. Like, I'd rather take Amtrak. I don't know if you guys take Amtrak. It's a lot more comfortable.
I've done that too.
It's comfortable. It's great. And also,
Just depends on how far you're going. It can be pricey.
Oh yeah, no, they can be. I liked when I became an adult. The stuff became unfun. George, I'm sorry. I'm gonna move up a little bit here because I see some. Okay, who doesn't? We got Chris. We're gonna go right here. So who's next for Kelani? I don't know, honestly.
My guess is based on the vignette that they put up in the night. Izzy might try to go after her.
Go. Oh, you said
Izzy Dame.
Someone mentioned Izzy, and I must have missed that completely because I didn't see that. But
I saw that vignette, and I saw it at first. I was like, "Wait, who is that? I don't recognize her." And then they showed her now. It's like, "Oh wait, that's Izzy."
But even if they do that, and I don't think there's a bad position for Izzy to be in. I see Kelani still beating her.
No, Kelani's gonna beat her.
Yeah.
It's just gonna give Izzy something else to do.
Jada Parker played for a D1 soccer team at LSU, and she's better than Jasmine Nix. Just saying. That's soccer, right? Like,
Yes.
So I can't say anything because I suck at soccer. I have no coordination. I think both these girls could. Not even I think they would crush me. Mandy and Gigi were eye candy. JC was just there.
That's my point. That's my point. Everybody kept looking at them like eye candy, and JC Jane was there doing the talking.
And not for nothing. I remember when I was doing this, I did the show, I don't know, maybe early last year, whatever. And I asked, I said, well, what happens when they break up? Because the vehicle was always made for Mandy. You know, Toxic Attraction was made for her. You knew that. Everyone did look at Gigi. And then I was like, yeah, not too many people talking about JC. And then sure enough,
they weren't.
And admittedly, as time went on, I saw her on her own. I mean, I think JC has just been killing it. You know, someone reminded me and said JC's been in a lot of factions. And I said, well, I'm biased. I don't care. You know, but I think JC has been killing it. And I think whatever you give her, and I know it sounds like I'm biased because everyone knows how much I like JC. But when they gave her the mask and everything, I thought she killed it. I thought she did a great job at what she does. We got Good Christian says I talk about Bailey a lot.
You sound like Z is silent. And now that Bailey is back, he can talk about her again on SmackDown. So he's happy about that because he was literally going to lose his mind because he was like, I'm looking at I'm looking at Elektra, I'm looking at Chelsea, I'm looking at everybody else there except for Bailey. I need Bailey back in. Now we can talk about her once again.
I met Bailey 2 years ago. She's such a sweetheart. I remember Mike took a picture with her. And then she said, hey, do you want to take a picture? I said, and I did. And it was a great picture. I mean, she's such a sweetheart of a person. I don't know how you cannot like Bailey. I think Bailey is fantastic. So hearing Good Chris says I talk about Bailey. Bailey's a sweetheart of a person. You should talk about her. Good Chris said as well as Zelina Vega and now Kairi Singh.
As far as like favorites, that's what he means.
Sure. We got also George who says Izzy Dame. Really, Izzy Dame always. She does lose a lot.
I mean, she might always be losing, but they showed a vignette of the woman. So that's the only reason why I say that. If they didn't show a vignette of her and they showed one of somebody else that they were paying attention to, then I would have said their name. I only say that because they showed vignettes, but they didn't show a lot of solo. They didn't show really any other solo vignettes except for hers.
No, but I think you're onto something. I totally missed that. But I think you're onto something. I think that might be the next play. And it might be, and it's not even like a story thing. It's just like
it's just to be a next challenger thing, have a one-off match, and then done.
Yeah. We got Good Christian says, I love Gigi Dolan more than JC Jane and Mandy Rose. Gigi is great. I'm not going to badmouth Gigi.
Gigi is great. I hope that she is fully recovered, and I look forward to seeing her make a return in the ring because she does have some good in-ring work.
You know, not for nothing, I kind of thought she might have made an appearance in the Zachary match against Wesley. I was like, because it was like a spot where it looked like he's going to hit him with the chair. And I
mean, she could have, but unless you follow on social media, not everybody knows that she and Zachary are a thing and that them three are pretty close.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I wanted to highlight George. He said Mandy lost the NXT Women's title to Roxanne, and JC and Gigi were trying to avenge Mandy's loss, and that's where.
No, they were trying to avenge the fact that they lost the belts, the tag belts, won them back again after 3 days, and then lost them again at some points. And then they were trying to win them back, and then they were fighting a lot, and then the inevitable split came into play, and then Gigi got paired with Ariana Grace and then fell off the face of NXT when she got injured, and JC put herself in a Chase U, got what she wanted, and now has her own faction.
I mean, she helped Chase U. Remember, I mean, does no one Wrestling Doll? Listen, we're a great team. Nothing's gonna ever separate us. But you know the truth. You know, she helped Chase U when Andre was drinking and gambling and just spending all kinds of money on foot pictures. You know the truth. I know the truth. She messed up. She saved the day. That's why I love everything happening to Chase U. Chase U goes through more drama than Degrassi, and I think that's crazy because I've watched Degrassi and I've seen those episodes. Wild. Warman asks, where is my favorite woman sitting on the JC train? Well, my favorite woman sitting in the front. That's going to be you and JC. Y'all going to be in the front, and I'm going to drive. And there's going to be there's going to be tacos on there because that's what I serve. It's going to be the taco train. I just had Mexican City chicken taco, and it was great. And lobster taco. Try lobster taco and catfish tacos. You guys won't regret it. George asks, is Gigi and Zachary engaged? I don't think so. I think they're just boyfriend and girlfriend, but I don't know. No, Gigi and JC were going for the NXT Women Championship. It was a triple threat. And yeah, Gigi messed up. And because JC can be champion right now, but she was selfish. Let's talk about this heavyweight match here. Tony D Angelo against Oba Femi for the North American Championship. I thought this was a fun match. This was the match where I asked you guys in the UPR chat because it dawned on me. I'm like, man, Tony D Angelo has been on NXT for a long period of time. Do you think we get him on the main roster in 2005? And when I asked that, then I remember thinking,
there's the answer for Mr. George.
Oh, there we go. Oh, my bad. I didn't know that. So there you go, George. They are in fact engaged. And
they are engaged. They got engaged on Halloween while on a Disney cruise.
You know, and I feel like Halloween and spookiness is her favorite thing. So shout out to Zachary. Like he knew, like, good for him, man. Really, really good for him. I love that for him. Good for him. I mean, I don't like that Wesley was jumped in this match, but yeah, good for him. Because he did get jumped. I mean, why was Trey there? It wasn't Trey and Zach against Wesley. I hope Wesley is Zach's best man. And then he just, like, hit him with a sleeper. And then all Gigi could do is just watch. I'm sorry, I'm drinking apple juice, guys. I promise you. But he says, George says, thanks, Wrestling Doll. But to get back to my point here, because the apple juice is kicking in here. I asked that question because I was like, you know, Tony been on NXT for so long. Do you think he'd be in there in 2025? And I was like, man, but if they call up Tony D, do they bring up his family? And I don't think they do that. I don't think they bring. I can see them bringing up Stacks, but I don't know about the other two because I feel like with Rizzo, they still work with her.
They still need to work more on her. And Lucas Crucifino, he's in the middle. Like, he's not fully ready yet, but he's not at the same level as she is.
I thought this was a good heavyweight match. I mean, I feel like Tony was Oba's greatest challenge.
Definitely.
Not too many people throw Oba Femi around.
What if Morgan Freeman were to get in the ring with Oba?
Oh, Oba would fall easily. He would get smoked by Morgan Freeman. Morgan would hit him with the Morgan knee and then hit him with the God sent splash. You kidding me? Oba Femi knows he don't stand a chance against Morgan Freeman. I'm not going to hold you. Morgan Freeman would hit him with the clothesline from the depths of hell, pin him, and then proceed to take the championship. And when he smashed the championship against Oba Femi's face, he would just turn to dust. You kidding me? Morgan Freeman, look, right? No, George messed up here.
No, he said that Oba Femi would get dominated by Morgan Freeman.
I'm sorry, George. I read that too fast. I protect Morgan Freeman at every chance I get. Morgan Freeman is pretty much, you know, when Thanos got all 6 Infinity Stones? He is all 6 Infinity Stones. Morgan Freeman is a god. Are you kidding me? Morgan Freeman is, you should all praise Morgan Freeman. He has given us, he's a forgiving person. Because if he got in the ring, he would dominate your, name your favorite. Name your favorite. He would beat him. Roman Reigns. He would beat him. The 80s Hogan. Crush him. I'm not gonna say Bret Hart. Bret Hart would never get in the ring with him. He's smart. But you name it. Goldberg. Bill Goldberg. He would crush him easily. It's 10:45. I think I woke some people up, so I'll stop. What did you think about this match?
I enjoyed it. It was very fun, and it was nice. It was good seeing somebody that looked like they could get a winning chance as far as taking that battle away from Oba. The other question is who's going to go after him next. Will it be Ridge Holland since he's now sick and tired of Chase U? And now he's going to try to go for some solo go by himself. Or will Ridge Holland just go inside with Sean Spears since Sean Spears likes to influence those that are easily manipulated?
I honestly wouldn't like that for Ridge.
No, I wouldn't either.
I think, and
he tried to before, though. He tried to before.
Oh, he tried to work with Sean?
No, Sean did try to bring Ridge Holland into his side.
Okay. I'm glad that you mentioned it.
So that could play for that.
I wouldn't want that for him.
No, I wouldn't either. I'm just saying that that could happen.
You were just giving booking and ideas and maybe directions that might go into that. I think Ridge should just be on his own and take on Chase U, and he takes each member down. Like he takes down Osborne,
and then Duke, and then Andre.
But I think but see, that's the thing. I feel like Duke should be like the last person because I feel like he matches him with strength. I don't feel like Andre does that. I get Andre would be the last one because he's the teacher, right? So it's like I go through your students and I go through you. But I feel like that's what he's gonna go through. He's gonna go through his students and then crush and he should crush Andre, personally. We got Warman, he said Chad Gable. We got Ridge Holland versus Obafemi. I think, you know what? And, I don't see what's the problem. Obafemi, that's another person for him to beat. And I think you get another heavyweight match. I thought that Tony D, he looked good here. And honestly, what made him even look even better? So, Obafemi, he hit 3 of those what do you call it? The lift power bomb. And he crushed him. So, and it took 3 power bombs to do it. I think that still made Tony D Angelo look strong. The Obafemi looked like a beast. And same thing with Tony D. So I thought it was a good match. I did like something George said here. George said, and he knows this is going to win me over every time. Sonic the Hedgehog would dominate Obafemi. Yes, he was because of his speed. Obafemi would have to catch Sonic. I know that, George, I know you saw that Sonic the Hedgehog 3 trailer. Yes, it was great. It was fantastic. I feel like I said that Tuesday. I'm going to say it again. And when that movie comes out, I cannot wait to review it because that is going to be a great movie. Matter of fact, I have officially can sit here and say I might go through an emo phase because Shadow the Hedgehog is so emo. So if I start coming in with eyeshadow and singing, who sings Helen?
My Chemical Romance?
Yes! When I start coming in like My Chemical Romance, don't you guys question it. Just let me go through my emo phase. I'm going to wear a leather jacket. Do they still wear leather jackets when
you can wear a leather jacket and not be emo? I own like 5.
Oh, thank God, because I would just sweat and pass out. I'm going through an emo phase, so let me do that. I'm going to go through that. I'm going to wear the makeup and everything. I'm going to let my hair grow. I'm going to make it all black. I have blue in it. I'm going to change it. No more blue. It's going to be black. The next match, we had Roxanne Perez against Jadia Parker. It was for the NXT Women's Championship. I'm not laughing at this match. I'm laughing at the idea of me doing an emo phase at 36. I think that's a terrible idea.
And I'm going to say this real quickly. In our group chat, we had the executive contradiction make a comparison, say that Roxanne was trying to be like Liv Morgan. I was like, first of all, I get no Liv Morgan vibes off of Roxanne whatsoever. First of all, she doesn't need to insert herself into a storyline with a couple to make herself relevant.
Ooh. You're not a fan? Are you a fan of Liv?
I like Liv Morgan. I don't like that he compared Roxanne to Liv Morgan when their storylines are literally nothing alike right now. And I will say that Roxanne had my favorite woman scare of the night because I saw the black and the green, and I immediately thought Shigo from Kim Possible, which is one of a lot of people's now like goth girl cartoon crushes. But once I saw the font on the back of her gear, I saw now it makes sense. It's Beetlejuice inspired gear without the black and white stripes.
Ah, there you go. Because you were talking about going to the movies and doing some Beetlejuice stuff. Okay. Because when you said Kim Possible, and I was thinking Kim Possible, or you remember Shigo, right?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I said in the chat, and that's what I'm saying here.
Okay. There we go. I'm sorry. Go ahead. But
yeah, I mean, if you looked at Roxanne's gear and you didn't think that it reminded you of this character, then you lying.
You lying. Wow, you lying. I thought this was good.
It was a good match. It was one of Jada's best matches that she's had since being on the roster.
Yeah.
They definitely held their own for a bit. Roxanne got her revenge from getting the taste slapped out of her mouth by Jada. And it was a good match. It was very entertaining. And as usual, she does her pop rocks to win. And then the best moment came at the end of the match. We finally get the debut of one Miss Giulia.
Yep.
Which I will say I liked the hair. The outfit, I didn't mind. The boots were a little questionable for me as far as like the color. But I didn't mind it. It kind of feels like when they dress up Io and Kyrie a bit, when they dress them a little bit more in the, I won't say crazy, I'll say more eccentric side of things. Before, when they were more of a heel faction and doing all the colorful stuff, I feel like that's the kind of vibe they were going for with Giulia. But match is good. I was entertained. Jada definitely did one of her best matches. I definitely think she's going to stay in NXT for a minute now, especially with that. And now Roxanne's got a good opponent to have a feud with for about a month and some change until she loses that belt at Halloween Havoc and then gets signed to the main roster.
One of the things that they mentioned, they were saying, I think they said she was either tied or close to breaking Asuka's record for having the most PLE title defenses, I believe it was.
I wouldn't say maybe it was either most title defenses or as far as like with PLEs being undefeated, but that's about it.
Okay, no, thank you for that. But I didn't hear exactly, but I know that they mentioned Asuka, which I think is a great company to be compared to. You know, Asuka. Sorry, hiccups here, guys. Asuka, she's she's an NXT legend. I mean, she's a legend, period. But I mean, to be in the same breath as her, I mean, jeez, it's good stuff here.
She became NXT champion. It was her only title reign, and she ended that undefeated.
You know, not for nothing. When Mandy was champ, and I wasn't a big fan of Mandy Rose as champ. I mean, I got what they were doing with her, and I thought she was doing some of the best work in NXT. But I was at a period I was like, I hope they don't have Mandy break Asuka's record. Like,
if they had Mandy break Asuka's record, I would have broken something, and I would have been done with wrestling at that time.
I'm glad that they didn't do it, that you wasn't breaking anything. I don't want you to break anything. But it's one of those things where I mean, look, I think eventually Asuka's record is going to be broken. I mean, records get broken, right? But I can sit here and say at that point I wasn't for it. I thought this match was good. I thought that you said it. I mean, I think you know it on the head. This was Jada's best match. I just want to say for Jada, she showed that she can hang. I thought she looked good out there. I thought that she proved that she can be in a position like this. And one of the things that I was saying when we did the NXT review show, I don't know if it was just during the show or just predictions, when we had predictions, I didn't expect her to win, but I was like, well, she wins if she shows that, hey, I can hang in here and potentially be a future either women's champion or an NXT North American champion. And I guess because we all know how good Roxanne is. Roxanne is great. I mean, look at the run that she was naming these people that she was beating. Jordan Grace, Lyra Vicaria, so many other names that I'm not including here. But there's a body of people that she beat, and her body of work speaks. I mean, something that Big Joseph said was that people on the internet, they talked about like downplay her champion or her run. But Roxanne delivers. When she goes out there, she's out there. Lola Vice, I think she gave Lola Vice one of her best matches too. So I appreciate that she gave Jada some not just necessarily offense, but some shine. I think that's the best word. The best word to use. She gave her some shine, and Jada, I thought was great. I thought she was good. She lost, and we get Giulia, and I see in the chat George says Giulia. Oh, Giulia will dominate Roxanne Perez. I don't necessarily think she would get dominated, and I know you wanted me to do the whole thing, but I think these gals are going to deliver and have such a great match. Charmaine says which match was good. There was a lot of good matches on there, honestly. I still go with the tag team match. I thought that was the match of the night. I love that tag team match. Like I might watch that before I go to sleep. That was a good match. George said if Mandy would have broken Oscar's record, I would have stopped watching NXT all around. Look, I have nothing against Mandy. I really don't. I just don't think she should have been the one to do it. I really don't have anything against Mandy. You know, I know she's doing some great things now.
Yeah, I mean, I like her more now.
Yeah. So,
but during that time, with the way that they were having her be champion, with her winning by having her faction help her every single time, I was just like, I can't respect that. So if they had her be the one to defeat Asuka's record, I would have stopped watching NXT altogether.
Well, clearly not just you. That was George as well. George says,
and a good number of people would have stopped watching NXT altogether because we're not the only ones who didn't like it.
Yeah, there would have been a few people. George says Jada will get another chance down the road, and yeah, I think
after Roxanne, she'll probably be able to have a chance with Kelani.
Yeah, and I was sitting here saying, like, once again with Jada, she proved that she can stand there, and she'll get another chance down the road. It might be a while, but she will. In fact, get my thoughts again. She will, in fact, get another chance. We got George who said she didn't beat Tiffany Stratton, and I'm assuming he's talking about Roxanne. I don't know if they ever had a match. I don't remember. I don't recall.
As far as like before she left, they probably did have a couple matches. I can always double check.
Please check it out. And we talked about Giulia, and Giulia is here, and it makes sense for Giulia to be here. And because once again, you don't want to have Giulia and God, I'm blanking on the lady. I'm glad that you mentioned that, George, because I didn't want to ask that. I'm so glad that you mentioned that. So George mentioned Jada needs to separate herself from OTM. After this performance, do you think she should get away from OTM?
She's bigger than them at this point, so she doesn't really need them.
One of the things WWE have been doing lately is having a lot of male and female like factions. And
then 9 out of 10 times the females tend to shine from it. I mean, they brought Mia Yim in after she got released to join the OC to quote unquote help against the Rhea problem that with the Judgment Day basically. Mm-hmm. And they stopped using the OC altogether on the main program, and then they just had Mia Yim do her thing, and now she main evented a match in Berlin before Bash at Berlin.
Yeah. And real quick, I mean, I know the SmackDown crew, they talked about SmackDown, but I just wanted to say about that. I thought she looked great. I mean, did she lose? I mean, she literally got squashed with the
trash can.
Oh my God, that looked so brutal. But I thought she looked like a star. I think Mia Yim
is a star.
Oh my God, I love her. Like, like she's somebody who, one of the things you don't want to be, and I was listening to the Bash in Berlin and before the show started, and then you had Big E and Miz, and they were talking about some things. They were talking about you never want to be like that utility player. And I feel like she's kind of become the utility player because she's someone who can be there and she can do everything. And I'm just saying, I just hope that she get rewarded eventually because I just think she's fantastic. But
I mean, if they actually do make a mid-card title for the women up there, that isn't this Women's Speed Championship, she definitely could be rewarded with that.
We got George that Mia Yim is a future women's champ. I hope so. But I think she deserves it. I really do. Let's get into this main event. We had Ethan Page going against Joe Hendry with Trick Williams as the ref. Wrestling Dog. What do you think about Page, Hendry? You know what's funny? Throughout the show, right? You not only Ethan Page was like, but Wesley was like this his own partner or former partner, right? He was like, well, you don't work here, right? So that's the whole Ethan Page thing. He's like, Joe Hendry, you don't work here. You don't belong here. To which Vic Joseph, I know I mentioned Vic Joseph a lot. First name and first name guy, or first name guy only. He goes, well, but Ethan, you was that 6 weeks ago. And I said, damn, Vic Joseph's on fire tonight.
He did make a fair point.
What's his wife's name?
Vix.
Yeah, it's Mackenzie, right?
Yeah, Mackenzie Mitchell.
I'm starting to see what Mackenzie's seeing. I might propose to Vic Joseph because Vic Joseph is making good points, but I'm going to sit here and go, if you don't make chocolate chip pancakes, I don't want to have nothing to do with you. Because chocolate chip pancakes are great. I have no follow-up. I just wanted to say that.
Anyways, we got some believing in Joe Hendry with the fabulous theme song that if he does get signed into NXT, Def Rebel better not touch a damn thing on that. I'm going to say that. If Def Rebel touches it and destroys it, I will stop watching. There's been a handful of theme songs that Def Rebel has made for other people that were just like, why? Why did you touch that? Should have left alone.
I feel like if he does get signed, and I feel like I don't know what his contract is with TNA, right? But I almost can't help but believe like him and Jordan Grace, they're going to be coming to NXT.
Yeah, they're going to become WWE bound at some point.
You know, I gotta say this, and I feel like we were saying this on the NXT show, right? But this whole TNA crossover with NXT, I think it's just been so beneficial for everybody involved.
It's been beneficial for both sides.
But a lot of people don't see it.
And with people in our chat saying that Wesley couldn't do anything right and didn't win, and then, like you said when we were talking about this last week, if at least Zach doesn't win, then what benefits is it going to look like for TNA?
Right. Yeah, and I'm glad that you mentioned that, like, because you pointed that out in the chat, because I was like, one TNA guy got to win, right? And
yes.
I didn't see.
And it wasn't going to be Joe, because even though we love Joe Hendry, it wasn't going to be him. Ethan Page was still going to be our champion, whether the executive contradiction likes it, which we both know he doesn't, because he likes to call Ethan Page the worst champion that NXT has had. But I think to myself, it's funny that he says that because championship champions are his favorites. He likes those that run away and try to avoid fighting people to keep their belts. Isn't that kind of ironic?
Point. George, he wanted to say Ethan signed with NXT and now he's champ, and that's true. I mean, he won it in quick fashion too. I believe they said in 6 weeks he was NXT champion. We also got George who says Joe Hendry and Jordan Grace are coming to WWE, and I'm sorry AEW, but you won't get the chance to get those two. But you got Ricochet instead. You're
Please don't even get me started on that. Please don't.
I'm sure Shay is happy that Ethan. Yeah, I think she was.
She was over the moon.
Yeah, she was.
She was over the moon, and I was over the moon for the fact that the executive contradiction didn't get his pick. Even though technically he picked Ethan Page in the poll, he just didn't want that to happen.
I just didn't see that there was going to be. So, I was talking to my nephews earlier. We were talking about some wrestling and stuff like that. And my oldest nephew, he's 17, he'll be 18. I just don't know where the time goes. But when we were talking, and he said, man, I can't wait to see No Mercy, NXT No Mercy. And we were talking about this main event, and I said, yeah, I see Ethan retaining. But I said, you know, I like to do alternate booking. I like booking, right? And I said, man, it would be interesting if they did go an alternate route and they did put it on Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry's going to be out here in Queens, New York for HOG. It's the end of September. I don't have the exact date. But he's going to be out here. And I said, man, wouldn't that be cool if he's going to the Independent and he's He has the NXT Championship. I mean, how cool is that? But I just didn't see that being a thing. And I mean, it was a fun match. I thought it was. I mean, it was decent. I can't sit and say it was my favorite. I thought both men went out there and performed their hearts out, but it just.
Oh, I found the date since I follow HOG on Instagram. The 29th.
The 29th. There we go. Thank you, madam.
In 4 weeks.
And I was telling my nephews, I said, hey, do I want to, because my oldest nephew, he'd been to a wrestling show. My youngest nephew, never been to a wrestling show. I was like, hey, I'm going to do a wrestling show. And HOG, it's a fun time. It's a really great time. If you, out here in New York, you should check it out. Or when they travel.
And they get some pretty big names come on there.
They do. They had Kushida for one show. Matter of fact, I saw my first, not Kushida. Oh my God. Grandpa. They call him Murder Grandpa. Oh my God, I can't think of his name. But I saw him and I was just so impressed. He's in New Japan. It's gonna hit me when the show ends. It bothers me. I can't think of his name. But he has the. I'm so mad I can't think of it. But HOG do have good names when they come out here. But I thought the match was fine. I can't say it was my favorite. I thought that both men did what they had to do to make this match. And
Trick Willie definitely did contribute with him being the ref to be calling it down the middle, making sure that it was all fair game, that nothing happened. He didn't hit nobody. Ethan Page did again because he has no self-control.
To be fair, when he hit that ref, Trick ducked, and he
yeah, I know he was aiming for Trick, but he hit the other ref. We were gonna get a ref spot in that match. We all knew it. We were just expecting it to be Trick Willie.
I'm sorry, because I'm trying to Google his name, but like, what did you think about this match as I try to find his name? Because this bothers me. But go ahead. What did you think about this match?
Well, I mean, you pretty much said everything. Match was fine. They both did what they needed to do. They both made the match look decent. They both looked good, made each other look good. Trick did his job with ensuring that, like I said, that he played fair, did his job, played his role. And then Pete Dunne got in there and attacked him at the end of the match and then looked at Ethan Page right in the eyes.
I didn't get attacked by Pete Dunne, but I wanted to say real quick, the name was Suzuki.
Oh, Minoru Suzuki.
It bothered me that I couldn't think of his name, and he went against Charles.
You should have just said somebody that also worked in AEW for a bit because he did.
It was hard because who hasn't like walked through AEW?
I mean, if you would have said New Japan, hardest chops in the game, I would have said Minoru Suzuki.
You know, now I know.
I have seen a couple matches, indie matches with Minoru Suzuki. He chops so hard. You could see a red spot forming right after the first chop.
You know, and he's like in his 50s. I remember like I was in HOG and probably should have took a picture with him, but I didn't because it was money that I didn't have. And he had a match with Charles Mason. And I mean,
Minoru is 56.
And he's still like out there. And like when you chop him, he just laughs. Like he literally sits there. He chops better than Gunther. I don't know about that. I can't.
He has one of the best chops in the wrestling game.
Yeah.
That is for certain. He would be in a top 5.
And you know, and I think what adds to it, because you mentioned that he's 56 and he's still doing that, like that's crazy. So I don't know. I still got Gunther, and I think I put him number 2. And like it's a close number 2. It's like it's not even like it's like this big gap. It's like this. Because he does chop hard. Like I've heard his chop. I said, nah. Like if you chop me like that, I can see myself going to heaven and God saying, like,
I would never take that if I were a man. I would never want to take a chop from Minoru Suzuki.
Missouri. George says Gunther freezes him in a chop fest. I still got Gunther. Because like when Gunther literally pinned somebody from chopping, and that was Tommaso Ciampa. He literally I remember one takeover, he chopped the table by accident and it broke. Now, granted, I understand that could have been props. I get that, but I sat here and said, nah, never. Not me, ever. Not even on my worst day, pal. But that was the NXT No Mercy review show. I thought it was a great show, a fun show. I do go. My favorite match of the night was the tag team match, the opening match, Axiom and Frazier against Shea Shu. Um, it makes me excited to see what this tag team division is gonna. What's gonna happen with this? Oh God, I'm sorry. My computer was doing things I didn't ask it to do, but it makes me excited to see what this tag division is gonna go. Same thing with Wesley and Zachary. That feud is not over. What's next for Kelani Jordan? I don't know. I mean, you mentioned Izzy Dame, so maybe that's going to be a thing for a period or just a match because I can see that being a filler.
Be a one-off and then done.
Yes. And we got over Femi who retained his North American Championship. What's next? Who's his next victim? I have no idea.
We really don't. We have no idea. Nothing was said. Nobody was shown watching the match closely or anything. So we literally have no clue.
Roxanne, who retained her NXT Women's Championship.
We already know who's going after her next.
We do. And honestly, I feel like Tuesday, it was a give me when Jadia even said, like, oh, you here? Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't matter because I'll take you out too. So
we're going to get a Jadia versus Giulia match for Giulia to showcase, and Giulia will win.
I would hope not, though. I don't know who it could be. And, you know, I'm not going to say you're wrong. I'm just saying I would hate for that because I feel like Jadia got some momentum here, and I think that would crush her momentum.
I mean, maybe in a way Giulia wins, but also they do like some sort of weird finish or a faulty finish to where Jadia still looks strong and her momentum can still keep going.
I would hope if Giulia, I don't think she debuts.
What if say they have their match and Roxanne is out there watching so she can keep a close eye on her new opponent to study her a little bit, does something and winds up interfering and costing them both the match so that way neither of them look bad. And then they bring emphasis on the feud.
But I feel like if you do that, then you make it a triple threat. I don't think they're going to want to go in that route. I think what they
and not have it be a triple threat, just her messing up the match. And then they get DQ, and then it's a DQ because she interfered.
So the thing is, if she does something like that, I think you have no choice but to make that triple threat. So let's say it's a number one contender match, right? Just jump the gun here. You have Jadia Parker against Giulia, and Roxanne interferes, and then his Ava goes like, "Oh, you didn't want to face neither one of them. Now you got to face both of them." And I don't think they want to go that route. I think that I don't know who Giulia's first opponent is. I would like for them to separate her from Jadia because I think Jadia, you can build with her. I just think it would crush her momentum if she went against Giulia because Giulia's going to go over regardless. You know, I think that's the route that they want to go with, and I think they want to have Giulia be the one to take the title off of Roxanne. And the last thing I'm going to say, Ethan Page, he beats Joe Hendry. If you say what's next for Ethan Page, it's going to be Trick Williams.
Yeah, Trick's going to be the one to take the belt off of him. We already know that.
He should, right? Like, you see that Halloween Havoc?
It would be a sweet, sweet full circle moment.
And one of the things that they said, and we're going to call it a show here, but they were mentioning like Ethan, he beat Trick for he never pinned Trick for the championship. You got to remember that.
No, he literally got kicked onto the person that was lying down, and he won the belt that way. And Trick got held back by Sean Spears.
There we go. Yeah, Sean Spears messed that all up. But with all that said, that is the NXT No Mercy review show. We want to say thank you guys for joining us. It is 11:15 at night, and you are with us. We went an hour and 18 minutes. You guys have been fantastic. George, thank you for being in the chat, and also good Chris, and we had some new
faces, some old faces we hadn't seen in a hot minute. Thank you all for choosing to watch us talk about NXT No Mercy, the undisputed duo of NXT Tuesdays normally.
There we go. Boom, there we go. That's right, because we have, you know what, the other show. Look, shout out to the other shows. There's so much great content here. I'm a humble champion. Not really, because humble is not my favorite flavor. So we have here on the Tuesday show the UPR Championship, because I'm champion. We are the champions. It's both me.
We're
and-
late cool. We just need a belt split in half for us to hold each half.
Ooh. Can I be Layla? You could be
Yes.
Michelle. Cool. Because you're tall.
No, because I was thinking, I thought you said before you wanted to be that you would say you were Michelle, but sure, you can be Layla.
She wore some big boots, and I feel like my my feet can't deal with them boots. But
yes, you can be Layla.
yes, that's us. Matter of fact, that's gonna be the story I'm gonna share on Instagram. Remember when they ripped the belts? Like that's us. That's literally us. Because we're the champions. That's us. We don't see. We're not like the other brand where it's just one champion. No, it's both of us. Like, please, you're embarrassing yourself. We got jerseys and Shay will be upset when Ethan loses.
I'm going to hear when that woman cries all the way from New York. When that happens, I will say that when Ethan Page inevitably loses, she's going to be crying, and I'm going to wind up hearing it.
You're gonna hear
some way
it
somehow.
And you know what? You say that, but I'm gonna get blamed for it, and I didn't do anything.
We know you didn't do anything.
No one cares. I just get
but here's the thing. She won't blame you. She'll blame the executive contradiction because the executive contradiction is the one that said that he was the worst NXT champion.
You know what? That's good. I hope that he can deal with that because I don't think so. We got George. I don't want to hear Shay's voice. That's rude. I don't want to hear Shay's voice. I know she's going to be like, Ethan got robbed. No trick beat Ethan fair and square. Chris is right. Chris is never right. Like, if your name is Chris, you can't be right. Trust me.
Upset unless you're good Chris in our chat.
Except if you're good Chris. We like you, good Chris. We love you.
And I know a couple Chris's out there that are pretty decent people that are not wrong. So.
And that's fair. It's just the Chris that we know. He's constantly
just our UPR Chris likes to say things that
Chris.
We find are not correct.
Constantly. When you see him on the show, make sure you put constantly wrong Chris. CWRC.
Hashtag not correct Chris.
You know what? That's more easier. This is why we're the UPR champions of the world. Thank you. With that said, that is the show. But let's real quick. We're gonna highlight what we got going on. Wrestling Daw. You want to tell the people what goes on in the weeks of UPR? I'm gonna highlight right here.
Well, on Monday nights at 6 p.m., you have the Mike Knox Show, the show for the intelligent wrestling fan with Mr. Mike Knox. On Tuesday nights at 7, you have Freckle Sensei and the executive consultant talking about Monday Night Raw. And next Tuesdays, you have the great grandson Pooh and Sabrina Style talk about NXT right after. AEW Wednesdays, you have Dan the Man, Cactus Katie, and Venomous Minnie talk about Dynamite, top 5 and or predictions on Thursdays. And for the Friday night SmackDown reviews on Saturday afternoons, either at noon or at 1 o'clock, depending on when they're there, you can catch Vic and the Z is Silent, the wardens of the SmackDown Penitentiary, talk about all things SmackDown.
I mean, you nailed that so quickly. Fantastic. Now I know when it comes to that, I'm going to let you do it because you nailed it on isn't she great, folks? Damn, she's great. With that said, Sabrina Stella, we like to plug the stuff that we do because we do some stuff outside UPR, but it's still connected to the world of UPR. What do you have going on? I have to always ask this for the newer viewers. What do you got going on? Because you do things in Florida. I feel like it's Central Florida. What goes on?
Well, yes, I do things in Central Florida and occasionally South, and that is travel to independent wrestling shows and record matches and put them up on the interwebs on my YouTube channel, The Unofficial Camera Woman, where you can catch current and or former AEW, current and or former WWE, current and or former TNA, NWA, possibly New Japan stars on there, as well as great indie talents that you see on these programs be used as local talents. And you get a better chance to see what they can do in the ring as well. And I will be going to a show this coming weekend, so I will have videos of that show be on my channel soon after. So be on the lookout for that. It will be a fantastic show that I look forward to watching, and people that are going to be there already know that I'm going. So we have footage to look forward to from me to watch the night of.
That is fantastic. Make sure to follow my co-host there. She does great content. Please give her a follow. We recorded a Big Pop Theory podcast. I mean, it's Sunday when this is all going on. And we hope to upload it tomorrow. It's audio podcast. It should be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and a bunch of things where you can find audio podcasts. I just can't think of all of these names at the moment. It's hard to remember all these names, but this is Unpopular Review. You can follow us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm just going to say Twitter because X sounds ridiculous.
We don't refer by that other name.
No, it's stupid. Twitch as well. And, I mean, if you're watching this, a good portion of you guys, watch through YouTube. So that
And Patreon.
And Patreon, right. We should highlight that as enough. We don't do that enough. So apologies, but Patreon as well. And we will be back, just us two, on the NXT show for Tuesday. It should be a fun show. But like my co-host said, there's so much content here. Please tune in for the other shows. This UPR Entertainment, I think we should throw that out there. There's a lot of entertainment shows going on here. We review shows and movies, so please, there's a link to go to the sister channel. And with that all said, I'm winded here. With all that said, that is the show. We're going to exit out. Madam, do you want to give a wave? Say goodbye to the people who's watching. Oh, right. We got to do that. Give it to them. We'll see you guys on Tuesday.